in the same building as one of the best champions. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Tito Ortiz for what he's done in the past. Paving the way for young guys like me to want to inspire to be like. Well, not I won't say be like.
Thank God.
But Ty's record and everything. Tito's a great guy, and I respect him a lot. So hats off to Tito Ortiz for being such a great champion for me to follow.
And then last question, I just wanted to ask you about the beginning of the fight. Chael kind of stormed you and, seemed like, he said he was going to make it a fight, and he did right away. Catch you off guard at all, and did it take you a while to catch your bearing the way he went at you?
No, not at all. I wanted to make it a point to meet him in the middle of the octagon and earn respect right away. Chael has this thing where he gets people dreaming and having nightmares about that double leg dive. And what I had to do was just become comfortable with the fact that I could possibly be taken down. And once I got over that, I allowed myself to be free and play the game the way I needed to play the game. So I felt like I came out there and I was strong and courageous, and I was the wrestler. I was the dominant one, and it was a good feeling.
You guys done with John? Done with questions for him? I'm going to let him get out of here if you are. Here?
Before I take these off, shout out to Mustard headphones. Yeah, I did it. That's right.
Hey, John, question. It looks like when it was all said and done, Chael was 30 seconds away from winning by TKO on account of your foot injury. Have you had a chance to digest that or think about it at all?
No, I can't necessarily agree with you that he would have won by TKO. My coaches wouldn't have allowed me to give up like that. You think about the people in our armed forces. These guys go through so much. That's why I respect the Marine Corps and our military so much, because they're real soldiers. They're like real warriors. Bullet wounds and all types of stuff. So I can't sit here and allow myself to sit out because of a twisted toe. And my coaches wouldn't allow that either. So I'm sure one of them would have tried snagging on it to straighten it out and sent me back out there.
Which you're right, he wouldn't have been able to go back out there because the doctor would have stopped the fight.
Oh.
His bone was sticking out of his toe.
I thought that's what I saw. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, they would have stopped it. Believe me.
Maybe that hints the blood.
In a second.
Thanks, Dana.
No, just a fact.
Hey, John. I was wondering, since you repeatedly took down the man who repeatedly took down Anderson Silva, do you feel that should make you the pound-for-pound number one?
No, that would be extremely disrespectful of me to try to disregard what Anderson has done, outside of the octagon and inside of the octagon. I celebrated my 2-year anniversary of being a champion this year, and Anderson has been doing it for about 6. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal pressure that he's been able to uphold and continue moving forward with. So I admire him so much. And yes, I've had some great fights and I've had a great career. But Anderson is still an amazing guy. He's still my idol, and I'm not going to disregard the things he's done.
John, would you prefer a rematch with Machida, or would you prefer to take on Alexander Gustafsson?
Well, I fought Lyoto Machida before, and I fight for the love of the sport. I fight for the people that support me, but I also fight to prove critics wrong. So a lot of people believe that I've been successful because I appear to be larger than my opponents, and with Alexander Gustafsson, that would be no more. So fighting Alexander Gustafsson, a guy who's 6'6" or 6'5", pretty long arms himself, long legs, I think that would be a great thing, and that's who I would love to fight next.
And you tied Tito Ortiz's record. With one more win, you would have the record for most consecutive title defenses. Do you think that would make you the greatest light heavyweight champion in UFC history?
Yeah, I owe it to myself to say yes. I know a lot of people don't like when someone, aspire to be the greatest at something. Maybe it sounds arrogant, but I owe it to myself. This is my life, and a lot of other people are, you guys can report on it, or a fan could watch it, but for me, I have to breathe, eat, and sleep this. So aspiring to be the greatest is something I owe to myself, and that's what I want to be, is the greatest. And I believe that's what will happen eventually.
I agree with him. It'd be hard to not call him the greatest light heavyweight ever if he achieves that.
Just wondering, with you retaining the UFC gold and your brother Arthur earning a Super Bowl ring this year, do you feel that there's any pressure on your brother Chandler now?
No, there's no pressure. Chandler was quick to say, well, at least I'm a first-round draft pick. You know? So that's his comeback every time. And he shuts Arthur up right away. So Chandler has a lot of time. You know, he just finished his rookie season. He's a mature guy, a lot more mature than me. Even though he's a baby, he's such a leader. And I think he's going to do really good with Bill Belichick. You know, he's the perfect fit, just a stand-up individual. If you guys haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, he's really a good kid. And I think Belichick has a winning team. And Chandler, you know, if not the Super Bowl, he'll be a Pro Bowler. You know, he can only control himself, and he has a bright future. I really believe it.
Good, we're gonna let him go? Oh, one more, okay. This will be the last one right here.
If you could just reflect a little bit on, you know, where you were in this building 2 years ago, you know, winning for the first time. You've, you know, been through a lot, inside, outside the cage in those 2 years. You know, how different do the two evenings feel for you?
You said outside. I take it you're from Canada, are you?
Yeah.
I love it.
Do I actually say? I see. I don't think we have accents.
Yeah, the out give you away. I love accents. But you know, 2 years from now, I had a suit on, and it was black with a white undershirt, and I was telling a story and being charismatic about how I chased down that robber. I was sitting next to Uriah Faber. It was a beautiful time in my life, and yeah, that's where I was 2 years from now. And since then, I've grown. I've become a fiance. I have another child on this earth. I purchased my first home, and life is good. Life is really good. You know, I'm growing up. I'm becoming a man. You know, my goatee's connected now, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I'm going to continue to work hard and seek clarity, and seek being a better person. And I think that's going to reflect on my career.
Cool.
All right. Later, Gators. I'm out.
Just a quick question for Chael down here to your right. Hey, Chael. You mentioned in the cage that if there's not a clear path to a title, either at 85 or 205, maybe there's no reason to stick around. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, was that a retirement situation going on there, or are you not prepared to say just yet?
You know, I'm definitely not. You know, what am I going to do? I'm terrible. I lost to two guys, one much younger. What are you going to do, put me with Wanderlei Silva? I don't know who else I'm supposed to beat around here. It's tough. Look, I've had a lot of fights, and they haven't all gone my way. But I've only been beat up twice, and that was number 2. You know, Andy beat me at my own game, and it's frustrating, it's tough, and that's it.
Were you surprised that he beat you at your own game? Were you surprised that he went that direction so quickly in the fight?
Yeah, I was. I'd have to watch the replay. I mean, he was in on my leg, but before I knew it. I don't know how he set it up, if he threw a punch I don't know what happened. He was just in on my leg. I've been in that spot my whole life, and I have fallen down like that. I got up and he did it again. I got up and he did it again. I don't think I've been taken down 3 times in my career. Took me down 3 times in one round. And yeah, it was tough. I wanted more. I wanted to feel more of him. I was impressed with him from the start. And I wanted more. You know, that's what happens with anybody. Anytime a fight gets stopped, you just wish you had a few more moments.
And one for Roy down here. Roy, when you and I talked on Thursday, you said, you know, an impressive win this week. You feel like you're right there for a heavyweight title shot. You said it again in the cage. Can you kind of go into that a little bit more? Are you prepared to be the next guy if that's what they want?
Yeah, no. I think, you know, I've demonstrated that, you know, I can knock people out, and, you know, fans love it. But, you know, it's Dana who really makes the choice of, who gets the next title shot. But I'm definitely watching UFC 160 in Las Vegas to see who wins, see if I can get the next crack at him.
And me and Joe never talk about fights the night of the fight, but we talk tonight. And we like Roy Nelson versus Cormier, or Roy Nelson if Mark Hunt wins, Roy and Mark.
So that was just what I was going to ask you. You always tell us you're not going to make fights tonight, but
Tonight we did.
we're glad you did. All right, thanks, Dana. And then Dana, one more real quick one. Can you just kind of comment on this? This was a weird night of fights with the injuries and the eye pokes, and what were you thinking as you're sitting there cage side as these things unfold?
Yeah, there was 28 seconds left of the Bisping fight when he pokes him in the eye. Stops the fight on that. He breaks his toe, and there was another eye poke earlier. It was definitely a weird night. First night ever, the fight ended, that other fight ended so fast that we had like 28 minutes left on air. We actually had to show the same fight twice. McMahon should be happy. Her fight aired twice. It's just weird. It was a weird night, for sure.
Dana, as a follow-up to that question about the eye pokes,
Exactly.
there's been some talk about maybe reconsidering the current design of the MMA gloves. Have you guys gotten together with anybody to actually take this seriously?
Like what, put fingertips on them?
Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, that's the glove that's approved all over the country by all the athletic commissions. I don't know. I mean, all right, let's say you had you had gloves with fingers on them. You could still poke people in the eyes with them. With a boxing glove, they used to have problems back in the 70s and maybe in the early 80s with guys getting thumbed in the eye because those old Everlast gloves used to look like a lobster claw, and guys used to get thumbed all the time. It's just, and then they made the attached thumb to it. I just don't know how you would do it in MMA with the grappling.
For Pat, so you came into Jim's backyard, fought his kind of fight, and beat him at his own game. Can you talk about that, especially you beat a newcomer to the promotion?
Well, I think that's my kind of fight. I mean, I'm a grinder. That's how I fight all my fights. I thought I fought my fight, and I don't think anyone at 155 can outgrind me. I'm too big. I'm a lot bigger than most of those guys, and I knew that would make the difference. I'd wear them down and catch them in the end, and that's what I kept saying to people, but nobody really believed me. So, it's kind of like my whole career.
Were you here when I called the bonuses? Yeah, okay.
I heard him.
You don't look too excited. You won $130,000 tonight.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Believe
All right,
me.
just making sure.
Dana.
And for Phil?
Yep.
Dana, can I get your comment on what John said about Alexander? Given the fuel cancellation and the way that whole thing came out, would you give him the shot?
Well, Alexander should have fought that night. He should have fought that night, and he didn't fight. John Jones is going to be fighting anytime soon, apparently. He's got a compound fracture. When I went into the octagon, the bone was sticking out of his toe. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how long that takes to heal, but it can't be too quick.
So Leo,
was there a doctor in here? Did somebody just? No? Okay. I heard somebody yell. What's that?
So Leo said backstage that he wanted to fight Alexander if he wasn't getting the title shot immediately. Was that something?
Who said that? Machida?
Yeah, he was backstage.
Yeah, we got to see what happens. We got to see what happens with Jones, how long he's going to be out, and we'll go from there.
And then a question for Phil. What was the latter part of this week like for you, and everything that led up to the fight with the TMZ story, and then your fight? What's this past week, this week been like for you?
It's definitely not been your typical fight week, I'll tell you that. It's a little stressful, but I was able to work through it.
You felt good about your performance in light of everything that happened, and how did you feel about the actual fight, how it played out after all the trash talk? And
I was happy. I was happy. It was a good fight. Still some things I wanted to do, and still some things I'm going to go back and fix after I watch it. But I was happy.
And Michael?
Sorry.
Just your overall thoughts on the fight, how it played out, the weird ending. How do you feel about it, looking back on it now?
It was obviously a very disappointing end to the fight. I was trying to finish the fight. I felt I was well in control. It's just one of those things, I was landing big shots. I was reading all his movements. I could read him very well. It was unfortunate. I think he caught me earlier on with a thumb. Actually, I have a little cut here, but as Dana said before, it's unfortunate, it really is. But listen, I don't think it took away from the fight. I don't think it affected the fight. I was clearly winning. Leading into the fight, obviously, there was a lot of talk. I have respect for Alan Belcher. He's been around a long time, and he's a very good opponent. I've just got to do what I've got to do to prepare mentally and try and put doubt in his mind, and that's all it was. I've got nothing against him, nothing but respect for him. But I was happy with my performance, but I would have liked to have finished him.
Question for Mike. Mike, going into the fight, Alan had talked so much about his stand-up, how he matched up with your stand-up. He could, you could knock him out, those things. I mean, seemed like you really controlled the pace, especially in the second and then into that third round. Were you pretty happy with that? And did you kind of feel like you proved your point against the guy who was trying to trash talk against one of the best trash talkers in the game?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, trash talk isn't, what's important. What's important is going out there, putting on good performances and ultimately winning fights. I was happy with it. As I said, I wanted to finish him. That's what I really wanted to do. But I felt I controlled the fight in all areas. As I said before, I could read all his movements. He seemed quite slow to me. I wanted to finish him. That's what I really wanted to do. I landed some big, heavy right hands. I think, he led on the floor a little bit, I think, maybe, who knows. I think maybe he looked for a way out, but I was happy with everything.
And a question for Roy. Roy, you heard Dana's comments. Obviously, you fight who the UFC puts in front of you, but I got to ask your opinion. Daniel Cormier, Mark Hunt, what do you think of those fights?
I'm there. Whatever. I want to fight the best in the world, and fighting Daniel, he's an Olympian, and I'm more than happy to welcome to the UFC. And then as Mark Hunt, if he can get past JDS, that'd be great. If he doesn't, I'd still fight Mark Hunt because I know the fans want to see that one. So I'm all about making everybody happy.
And one last one for Pat Healy. Pat.
Well, if he wants to get close to the title, those are the guys he's going to have to fight. You know what I mean? I know what he wants is a title shot, and I honestly think he deserves to get a fight with one of the top guys to get him closer to that or get him that shot.
And one for Pat. Pat, you went through so much last year with the cancellations, trying to get the fight with Gilbert, all the time off. You just got $130,000 in bonuses. But the larger point I want to make is, do you feel like the Strikeforce fighters have proven themselves? You got Gilbert, who maybe arguably could have won the fight with Benson Henderson. You had the fight obviously with Josh Thompson knocking out Nate Diaz. I mean, is there a little sense of pride after everything you guys went through that you guys have all come in and picked up these huge moments in the lightweight division, especially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's no doubt about we all proved ourselves. I know a lot of us I'm good friends with, like Josh, Thompson, and we all had a big chip on our shoulders coming in here. We wanted to turn heads. When you're motivated like that, it makes coming out and doing the thing a little bit easier.
Sarah, you had said earlier this week that you get your biggest jitters a couple weeks out, generally from fights. How did you feel going into this one once fight night actually rolled around? How were you feeling?
I felt shockingly good. I kind of, with all the talk in the media, and they're like octagon jitters. I had like 6 interviews in a row talking about it, and I was like, oh man, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I am gonna get it. But I think that having competed for so long, like once I started my warm up, I was good to go. I was ready to fight. I'm like, okay, you guys, hurry up and finish so I can get out there.
Now, competing on the grand scale, that's the Olympics. Is there anything that could be more nerve-wracking than maybe a gold medal match in the Olympic Games?
I don't think so. I think that simply because it's every 4 years, and especially with something like the Olympics, with 4 years in between, it could be your only shot, So really, like, you can mess up, you can not do as well at Worlds or Nationals, and you kind of have chances to come back the next year. But, with the Olympics, I think that really when you're in there, you feel like this is the only time I'm ever going to be able to do this, and I better do it right. And that's a tremendous amount of pressure.
Okay. Chael, again, earlier this week, you said that you didn't think that it was even close comparing John and Anderson. now that you've been in the cage with John? Is he, is he better than you? You said that he's already, maybe the best light heavyweight ever. After being in there with him, is he as good as you thought he is?
He's a lot better than I thought he was. I mean, to beat a guy is one thing. To beat a guy at his own game is a whole nother. He's the best fighter I've ever fought.
Chael, just to expand on that, I mean, what ways is he better than Anderson? Like, was he stronger? Was he quicker? What can you tell us about specific?
Yeah, he was a little bit stronger. It's tough, and the last thing I want to do is disparage Anderson Silva, but it's tough for me. I whipped him for 30 minutes. He whipped me for less than 30 seconds. I whipped John for 0 seconds, and he whipped me the entire fight. It's just tough. If you're asking me for my opinion, John's better.
How difficult is it for you? You really believed you were going to win the fight. I mean, virtually nobody else believed you were going to win, and you did. Now you're sitting here at this moment where you're realizing there's guys going on in their career and you're not. You're going to go and have a change of life. How difficult is that for you to accept right now, knowing you accomplished a lot in your career?
Well, it's tough. Anytime of those changes are tough, and anytime you work so hard and you don't achieve your goal, it's tough. But it's a two-man sport, and you cannot. I don't think you have the right to celebrate victory if you're not going to be a man in defeat. And I knew the rules going in. I accept the outcome of the duel every time. And if I've got to pat the other guy on the back, that's protocol, that's procedure, and that's how this sport should be done. I will never offer an excuse. I never have, and the better guy won.
Big country, just to ask you, when you hit check with that right hand, I mean, you hesitated to throw the next punch, which was admirable, but you hit him with one and then you waited to hit the next one. What was going through your mind there?
No, the first time I hit him, I saw him just go out, and I knew he was down, but he recovers really, really fast because he did it with the Pat Barry fight, just like springy legs, and he popped back up, and then I just came back and just kind of hit him with a little stinger just to put him back down, and then I just held over him just until the ref came over because I knew he was going to I was afraid to either wake him back up or I was going to have to just rain down a whole bunch more punches.
What changed in your, the Mir fight was a pretty lackluster fight, I think, for both of you guys, but, that certainly wasn't your best effort, and it seems like you've really been, very impressive in all the fights since then. Was it a change in team, or was it a change in anything that you can point to that has led to that improvement?
I'd say change the team and not having walking pneumonia. That usually helps. I think Frank had that same fight last week, so I think it might. My fights are a little bit different as long as I'm not sick.
Attaboy. And Dana, just you referenced the two fights that he might take. So do I take it that JDS would be the guy in line, assuming he beats Mark for the title?
Right.
Okay, so that he will get that rematch. Cool.
Chael, you have a looming media career. You're well regarded by Fox. You seem very dejected at this loss with Jones. You're very fortunate to have something other guys don't have, in that you have another career after the sport. So is there a reason for you to continue to fight with that looming media career?
Well, I appreciate that. I like to fight, but I love this business. And there's so many different opportunities that are out there now that weren't here a number of years ago, and broadcasting is one of them. And you guys all look at Dana as the world's greatest promoter, but you forget he also produces 5 TV shows. He's also in gaming. We just signed a deal with EAS. What we do with the magazine and the fact that it's booming, and he's never once promoted it from behind this counter. Our magazine's in multiple countries, and it's in every state in the country right now. So there's a lot of things that I would like to do, and the magazine is one of the things that has my interest. So as far as being done with the company, I love this company, but as far as getting in the ring, that comes to an end at some point. I am by no means saying that happened tonight, but at some point it comes to an end, and I will find something else for myself to do with the business.
And Dana, did you have any issues with the New Jersey Athletic Commission tonight? I mean, Joe Rogan had to pull a stew over for John Jones after the fight. The inspectors didn't notice his broken toe. Do you have any issue with the commission?
He didn't even notice his broken toe. It was tough to see. I was in there talking to him. I didn't notice his broken toe. You know, when you look at a guy and you check him out, you're not looking at his toes. That's for sure. No, I don't have a problem with this commission at all. Actually, this commission in New Jersey is actually one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
And did you have kind of a bad omen? It was kind of a weird night.
It was a very weird night. You know, we've done 4 fights in the last 4 weeks all over the country, all over the world, you know, and I always say it, it's not like every night, every weekend you put on a fight, it's not going to be the greatest show you've ever done, but, you know, these guys came out, they fought hard tonight, and yeah, it was a very weird night. It started out weird and ended even weirder.
And you have Sarah McMahon sitting up there. I just wanted your take on the 3 fights now in the books in the UFC history for the women's division, and how do you feel about the 3 fights? This is the most one-sided fight so far, but how do you feel about the women's division?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, they've all been great. You know, the women never need to be talked to or pumped up to go out and put on a great performance. They always do. And she came in, you know, she came in like a champ tonight, man. She looked great. She finished the fight early. And, you know, early on, she had that ground and pound style, and people were booing, so she jumped the side control and finished the fight. And her fight aired twice tonight in front of 100 million homes. Good for her. It doesn't suck either.
I have a question for Chael. Chael, I know you're disappointed, but I want to talk to you about how you fought. You went after John right away. You didn't back up at any point. And yes, he's a lot bigger, but can you talk about, can you take some solace in the fact that others have fought John and been hesitant? You did not. You went right after him.
That's the only game I know. If you're going to go fight a guy, go fight a guy. You know, it drives me crazy. People are out talking about Anderson and John. These guys should be calling Dana right now, begging him to fight each other, and it's not going to go that way. You know, you got these 2 guys, and they're great, but they're a couple of chickens. They should be calling each other out. They should grab the microphone and say, I want to fight that guy. I don't want the debate. I want to get this figured out. Dana, give me a date. Give me a time. Let me fight him. And it won't happen that way. Dana's going to have to call these guys, and then they're going to have to dangle a carrot. Then they're going to want to negotiate. We're in the fight business. If you don't want to fight, don't raise your hand.
And my next question is for...
It actually did happen tonight. Anderson called and wants a fight tonight, so it did happen. Anderson called tonight, and Anderson wants a fight. And I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but I'm going to get to work on it as soon as possible.
That's between St. Pierre or Jones you're talking about. Is that what he's, one of those 2? Okay.
Yep.
All right, my next question is for Phil. The big question mark with you was your stand-up game. Can you talk about your boxing today, which and your footwork, which really look good, and your progress in that area?
Sure. You know, I got a good group of guys behind me in my gym in Alliance in San Diego, and I got 2 of the best stand-up coaches, Eric Del Fiero and Adrian Melendrez. And, you know, it was just one of those things. I just really need to spend more time in the gym working with these 2 guys and really develop what my style is. And, you know, it just takes some time to draw that out. And, you know, I'm there now, you know.
For Chael and for Dana. Chael, what are your thoughts on being 28 seconds away from a TKO win and having the belt? And for Dana, if that had been the ending of the fight with the weird night that we'd had, your thoughts on how this would have been about the weirdest card in the UFC's history?
Sure. Yeah, you know what? When I get in there, I just want to know who's better. I want to feel these other guys. I want to see what the hype's about. And if they would have called the match right there, I wanted to have any illusions. I knew in that first 5 minutes who the better fighter was. So, yeah, I'm sure it would have garnered a rematch, and we'd have had to come up and do it again, and it would only be right to John. But I got my questions answered tonight.
And you?
I think he just answered it. You know what I mean? I don't even know if it happened, it would happen, and you'd have to have the rematch. You know.
Just to throw it out there, Daniel Cormier just tweeted. He said he would like to fight Roy Nelson. So for Daniel Cormier, there you go. Daniel Cormier said he would like to fight Roy. So
there we go.
Question for Phil. Phil, for the last 2 years ago, I'm right over here. Phil, for the last 2 years ago, you could not do an interview without your name being mentioned in the same sentence as John Jones. And then you had the one fight with Rashad, And then the last basically 3 fights, you had the weird, Wagner-Prado fights, and you fight Vinny, and nothing against Vinny. He just wasn't a top 10 guy right now. Do you feel like you want to get back on that path now? It seems like for the last year and a half, you've kind of been on a weird trajectory where you went from, maybe the number 2 guy in the world to fighting some non-top 10 guys. Are you hoping to get back into the, Machitas, Teixeiras, those kind of guys?
Let me make sure I understand your question. Were you asking me if I want to get back to you guys asking me questions about John Jones? Was that the question?
Just you were in that conversation as far as title, and it's like the last year and a half's kind of been a weird the run of fights you've had.
Yeah, I like to get back in there in the mix and in the contendership mix and showcase my skills against the top of the division. Climb my way back up to a title shot.
And I know Vinny had said a lot to you leading into the fight. Was it tough? I mean, he did a couple times where he dropped and tried to pull guard. It seemed like obviously you weren't playing into that game. Did you get a chance to talk to him after the fight and kind of squash whatever was there? It seemed like, I know some of it, it seemed a little crazy leading into the fight. And I know, we talked about it, but, did you get a chance to talk to him after the fight?
Well, everything is always sport for me. No matter what gets said, it's always sport. It's never like I'm going to teach this guy a lesson. I don't enjoy making someone else feel pain. I just go in there and have fun. Same for wrestling. It feels exactly the same to me. It was nothing personal. But at the same time, I talked to Vinny backstage, and he was like, yeah, it was only for the fight. And it was completely cool. He's a gentleman.
And one quick question for Mike. I think it's pretty obvious we know what your end goal is to get a title shot, but you're back on track here, good win tonight. Is there anything in particular that you feel like is next for you now that you're back on the winning track?
For me, really, I've just got to keep improving. I made some changes after my last fight regarding my camp, coaches, things like that. I've got to find a good head coach. I don't have a head coach. I'm my own head coach since I moved out to the States. I've got a great set of people around me that help me out, but I've still got changes to make. But I'm 34, I've still got a lot of improvements to make. I'm still very, very hungry. I've been around this company a long time now, and I'm very grateful for that. But, of course, I want to fight the best. I want to be world champion one day. And as long as there's life in my body, I'll keep trying. I love fighting. I'm living the dream. I have to pinch myself every day that this is what I do for a living. I truly love it. And as I say, I will not stop until I get to the top.
Chael, obviously not top of mind, but this is the end of The Ultimate Fighter journey. How do you rate that experience, and is that something that interests you? You were talking about different interests outside of the ring?
Yeah, The Ultimate Fighter was the best experience I've ever had in this sport. Every fighter should try to get on that. I took far more from those guys than I gave them. Every single one of them was out here tonight supporting me. It was a great feeling. And both sides of the team, from Coach Jones's guys to my guys, we were just lucky to get to work with them. It was awesome.
Dana, do you have any preliminary update on Alan Belcher's condition? It's my understanding that it was the same eye that had eye surgery on it.
No, all I know is that he was transported, but I don't know what's going on. We'll do one more question. 2 more. Go ahead, you go first, yeah.
My question is just for Michael. Now that the fight is over, can you just tell us how healthy you were going into this fight? I know a while back you had talked about a pinched nerve. How are you feeling, and are there any lingering effects?
Yeah, no, obviously I feel great. No injuries before or after the fight. Saying that, I have got a condition called stenosis. I've got a trapped nerve in my neck. It came when I was preparing to fight Tim Boetch early last year. I injured my neck. I didn't know it at the time, and it's been progressively getting a little bit worse. So I've had it looked at by a specialist. It's, as I say, it's not a life-threatening thing, but it is affecting the strength in my right arm and how well it fires. It's a nerve condition, so I've had it looked at. They said I need surgery. They said that 6 weeks before this fight, and there was no way I was pulling out. As you saw tonight, I can clearly fight. Nobody goes into a fight 100%. I'll go home, I'll get it looked at, and get it sorted out. Whether it gets sorted or whether it doesn't, I still feel fine. And it's just the way it goes. It's a hard business, You take a few bumps and bruises along the way.
Thanks. Yeah, Dana, regarding the James Head and Nicoton fight, that didn't happen. James, of course, I'm sure you got to show money. Since he's ready to fight, have you guys thought about putting him on a card that's coming up soon?
No, I haven't talked to Joe about it at all. But normally, when that happens to a guy, you know, it sucks, and we do try to get him a fight as soon as possible.
And regarding Nick, he had been coming off back-to-back losses before not making weight. Have you guys talked about that situation as well?
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet, and I don't know how Joe feels about it, but, you know, some guys have the opportunity to have great people around them, whether it's Dolce or somebody else to help them, you know, cut weight properly and do the right thing. And other guys don't have those luxuries, you know. It's a big deal. It's your job to come in on weight. But when a guy, you know, gets injured by cutting weight, I don't like it, and it bums me out. You know, I don't hold him responsible for getting dehydration. The guy was trying to make weight. Yeah, I don't, you know, it's like when I hear that this guy had to go to the hospital, I don't get pissed at somebody. You know, I'm concerned for them and hope that they're okay. And I don't want to see guys having to do that. You know, hopefully they're doing it the right way and they're cutting weight through their whole camp and they're close when they get here and they can do an easy cut. I don't ever like when people get hurt doing it. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Have a good night. Be safe.